Okay, when you get to Jupiter, so as we said before, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, they work together as a team, and how well you integrate it will determine how successful and how functional and how easily or difficultly you'll be functional in the world. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, aggression, no, expansion, exaggeration, it magnifies things. Jupiter expands things. So Mars starts things, Jupiter takes it further. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you're this. Well, I'll do this. It's Mars is trying to always go, and Jupiter is trying to align it to go for more, see what you can do, build up the adrenaline, and try for more, see how far you can take this. So a stressful aspect with Jupiter, Mars would be considered a stressful aspect because it's really oversexed, over aggressive, competitive, driving, and it justifies itself. So there's a tendency to be anything with any stressful aspect between Jupiter and Mars encourages battles and war. And it takes a real effort for that stress to impose the wisdom to not be so aggressive. But before you can impose wisdom to not be aggressive, you have to believe that not being aggressive is useful, which usually happens after we make mistakes or we made a fool of ourselves or we got in trouble. We've done things, oh, geez, I'm not going to do that again. So there's always a certain wave of people always going in to prove they can do something. There's always a wave of people doing things and seeing what they can get done. Then there's also a wave of people recovering for the repercussions of having done it, either successfully or poorly. And the spin-offs. So one of the things about Mars is kind of like playing drums. You can't take an action without it affecting somebody. You take an action that's going to affect someone. Even if you do the action alone, it's changing your energy for how you're going to affect someone, at least sooner down the line. But there's going to be a reaction to the effect. You can do anything you want, but boy, it helps to be prepared. That's Saturn. So knowing that discipline is worthwhile depends partly on how well you get along with your dad, whether discipline got set up, whether you can control your energies, and whether you see the value of restraint or being prepared or waiting, not just going on every fight. So normally aggressive people are people considered aggressive and they're ready to go with the extra adrenaline and they're being competitive and then some, and they're ready, oh yeah, they're going to build up even more. They'll drive faster than you. They're going to go first. They're going to push for things. But that's really Jupiter, Mars. That's Mars, Jupiter. Mars pushing and Jupiter misunderstanding or not understanding properly. And the only way Jupiter can understand properly is based on the experiences that you've had and the repercussions of those experiences. So we steadily, in our first 12 years of our life, build up a certain basic understanding what we can do, what we can't. Getting out of the house, going to primary school, or kindergarten, primary school, running across people, what we can do, what we can't, where we are, who we are. We begin to get a sense of that energy. So by 12, we have some understanding what to do, and a need to expand on it. By 12, you can't just be taken to school. You got to go to school by yourself. You can join sports or clubs or guides, or you can get into more activity, and you need to get into more activities because on a more functional level, it's not just being at home. And as these activity comes, you're less at home. There's different repercussions. Some are good, some are bad. But there's a puzzle of understanding whether you can do it or whether you can't, whether you should or shouldn't. So that happens at 12. It happens at 16, but by 18, you're 24, have you got your education or not? What are you going out to try and do? Or what are you not going to do? So Mars is really 2-year cycles, but it's very specific. It works differently at different ages. Or just new factors come in on what's sort of appropriate. By the time you're 60, it's how much energy have you got? Not what can I do so much. But at 18, you're trying to do anything. Why should anyone oppose it? At 60 to 70, you're being much more selective about what you can do. It's guided more by understanding. Of course, if you add bad habits or drinking or drugs or other things, it's going to impair your ability to act clearly. It's not wrong to be strong, not wrong to be powerful. It gets difficult when that power hurts other people or breaks things. So how strength is used, the wisdom of how to use a strength is so interwoven with Jupiter. wrong, any stressful aspect, Jupiter to Mars, you see it in the world. Every time Mars squares Jupiter, conjuncts it or opposes it, you'll see wars break out. You'll see extra violence happen. People born in those moments, they're going to have that extra energy, that attitude to pushing things. So they're going to have to fight to develop their understanding, and they're going to need competitive things and competitive sports, competitive things to play it out so they can learn team spirit or learn how to direct it better. Okay, if someone's not strong and they're not athletic and they're kind of weakly or sickly or weakly, those are kind of moon issues, but really, the person has to learn to do things anyways and get some courage anyways and develop it. So if energy doesn't work on one level, it'll flow up to another level, it'll go out or go in or get repressed. The energy's still there. But when you're seeing the stress to Jupiter, it's a puzzle about how we put under energy and what's right and what's wrong. There's tension or stress between what's right and what's wrong. Myself, I have Mars conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio. When I'm doing something, I'm so convinced I'm right and anybody opposing me is going to be wrong. Or let's fight it out, or let's challenge it. Fortunately, I have Saturn and Pluto squaring it, so there's some controls on it. But I've learned my lessons through difficult experiences. I've gained learned more from enemies or bullies than I ever did really from friends. So you have to, there's something you have to observe of how energy is going on, what's someone doing, where is it going to tune into their Mars. And again, we're only going to do the things that we think are good, Mercury, we want Venus, we feel okay about, we feel we need to do Moon, or something that will gain confidence. We wouldn't want to do something and get rejected, or be put down, or be failed, or be, we don't want to put out energy and get killed in the law of the jungle. So this understanding develops from our experience. But more often than not, how many people do you know in the world that have good understanding? Everybody has some kind of understanding of what they can do and what they can't do. But there's a lot of misunderstanding too. Someone may understand what they can do and not understand that it's hurting other people, or not understand it's hurting themselves. So the puzzle of Jupiter really has its powerful effects. So the easy aspects of sextiles and trine, there's a spontaneous energy, but really anything that's not stressful is fairly spontaneous and easier. So you're really on alert when there's a conjunction, square, opposition. And if you want to take it further, I wouldn't do it right now to do the semi-squares and the 135s, but I'd leave that to later. We'll see those more when we get to timings and stuff. It's enough to just see the major factors in your nature are there. When you're looking at Mars, you're just trying to see which stress factors are there, which ones aren't. So it's everything we do. There's 24 hours a day. What have you done with it? What are you doing with it? You're taking an astrology class in the summer, you're sitting down watching a webinar in the summer. What are you doing? But have I learned something? So there's other priorities that come in. But still, we have to get our things together so we can have that pocket to be able to think and study in. We have to make the room for it. So whether we're doing things or whether we're trying to do something else but not having demands made on us, we still have to get some discipline, get some controls, get some things done so we have that hour or two where we can look at something. Okay, so any desire for experience, the wanting to do anything, I got to do this, I want to prove this to you, I want to prove I'm the best lover you could ever have, I want to prove I'm the best employer you could ever have, I'm the boss, I know what I can show you what you have to do. All these things are basic Mars energy. I can't really do that. I don't really want to do that. Why bother doing that? I don't feel good, but I don't think I was the best. These are all more negative Mars, where the energy really doesn't work. And sometimes energy isn't working, and you have to learn that that's not good enough. And putting energy out is a life and death scenario. If you don't put it out, you got no muscle tone, you're not going to live long. If you put it out, you're going to run into battles with people, and if you put it out really badly, you're not going to live long. You'll break things, you'll hurt things. So this guidance system we develop slowly, it takes, by the time we learn to stand up and we can start running around in 1 or 2, by the time we're 2, we're locked up, we're watched so we don't run around, we don't get into more trouble. By the time we're 3, the first part of Jupiter. We begin to fathom this a little bit, and then we make an adjustment, but still we're having to be guided and told why we can't do this or that. And by then we're going to kindergarten or whatever, junior kindergarten, we're starting to do things where other people takes the energy off. If a kid burns that energy, they'll sleep well. If not, they're going to be hard to put them to be out of control. So we're learning, Jupiter, about control, but it's learning about what we put out in life, how we participate, what we can do, what we can't do, what we feel strong about, what we feel weak about, what we're mad about. Everybody gets mad when someone gets in our way or stops us from doing something. Then we expect them to explain, or we try to understand, why would they do that? On a personal level, if I ever say to anyone, do you realize what you're doing? Do you understand what you're doing? You don't even realize what you're doing. Well, a lot of people just doing without trying to. So we're doing things and we're assimilating the results of those experiences, good or bad, and all the shades in between. So our understanding is a hodgepodge of all the successful, unsuccessful, good, bad, happy, sad, angry, violent experiences we've had. It's the whole bundled together on how we understand why I'm me and why I can do things or can't do things. Now, if you get damaged, you get hurt, you run into a really violent experience, you get afraid of action. Then what's the solution to being afraid? You have to learn how to take some action so that you're no longer afraid. So there's always challenges that come in. From Jupiter, it's the challenges of misunderstanding, self-righteous understanding, distorted understanding, too good, too bad. It convinces you can do more than you can, or less than you can, or that it's okay to hurt people. This is Jupiter working. So it's a very important aspect of Jupiter-Mars. You see the competitiveness. It's there so there's a drive to get enough experiences so that one's understanding gets better. But until then, one can get locked in a bad understanding and cause a lot of trouble. That's going to take a lot of time to fix. That's Saturn. So Mars is putting out the energy. Saturn is what you've accomplished.